It is exactly 5 minutes past 9 a.m. on this 29th day. By the way, just a day for us to officially then cross over to December. A day when we start talking about Christmas and the birth of Jesus Christ for all the Christians across the world. My name is Simba, Elijah Charles Kiage, and you'll be joining us from the cold capital center of Kenya, Nairobi, and the rest of the region and the country. Good morning. I am not alone. Nancy Nelima is with me right here on this particular Tuesday. Nancy.
Good morning, Simba.
It's a good morning, isn't it?
And good morning to our viewers. We are coming to you, as Simba said, from Nairobi. And the hashtag is the morning drift. We're sure to make you be on the know of what's happening, of course, in the newsroom, as well as in our local dailies and what's trending across all our social media platforms. And one of the things that is making headlines, Simba, of course, is the World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And a concern about the VAR, that it's making football very robotic. And there are very many disallowed goals that could be the highest in this World Cup alone. So much as technology is good, Simba, I don't know what your thoughts are on the VAR in the 2022 World Cup.
Maybe Ian Kitani will come in. Probably Ian Kitani, today you can invite me to one of your discussions today on the World Cup show. But here's what I say. You know, when you take a second guess to ask yourself the question, should we allow it, should we not? Just allow it. Because the only thing that we need to do with VAR is for things that are blatant, the referee has not seen.
Right.
But when you are disallowing a goal because of a toe, because of a fingernail, because of an arm that was out of the line, it makes everything robotic. Let me take you back to World Cup, where one Diego Maradona, RIP, scored with the hand of God, and that goal stood. That's the beauty about football. But from now, when you get to disallow goals just because of a toe, sometimes a nose or a face, it just makes everything very robotic. So probably that's a discussion that we need to get into again on whether indeed what we should use VAR for.
Right.
Yeah.
And Simba, one day to December.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the Christmas cheer is already on. I'm in red, for instance.
Are you a Christmas person?
Of course, I am a Christmas person.
You are a Christmas person.
And the Christmas spirit, it lives on. And it needs to do that because the prevailing current economic times, the high cost of living, I feel like there's so many issues that people are going through. Not just financially, even just emotionally. There are very many things we go through. So when we get to have an opportunity to celebrate with friends and family, let's take it.
I'm not a Christmas person, but
I think I'll invite you. After the show, we can talk some more.
I think for a one-off, isn't it?
But I think it'll be hard just to explain to my family who is Simba. They'll be like, we see Simba on TV, but who is Simba?
He's now officially back at home. Guys, here's the thing. We'll find a very, very good explanation that will be quite neutral, Nelima. But anyway, that and many more coming up for you shortly. I'm hardway today, Nelima. What conversation are you having today from 10 to 11?
Okay, so today, of course, on Tuesdays, we like to talk about personal development. And today we'll be talking about intentional living. What it means to be intentional about everything that you do, Simba. You know, sometimes it's easy to go through life just going with emotions. But how about you look at life with more intent? That'll be a conversation this morning. The hashtag is the morning drift at Nancy Nelima across Twitter.
I am at Kiage Simba. We take a short breather right here. Once we come back, we'll be taking you directly to your dailies this morning so we can tell you what it is that is trending right there as far as they are concerned. This is the morning drift. And let me jump directly into the dailies this morning. I don't have the standard. Now, you have to know today that the KCPE examinations have started across the country, by the way. This morning we did see DP Rigathi Gachagua flagging off that exercise that is bound to take place for the next 1 week or so. Now, but that is not really the headline here. That's just a story that has also been covered by the Standard. But then if you look at the Standard this morning, they have a headline on how the court has stopped GMO as a Linturi disowns Korea. It's a very interesting saga that is happening in the Kenya Kwanza government, by the way, just barely 3 months into power. Because let me just wait for you now, Kika. Now, the maize saga deepens after High Court suspends importation as Agriculture CS claims he does not know anything about decision to ship in grain. Now, you can read into that story on page 6. Now, remember, there was a bigger conversation on who should sign the instrumental power that would allow the importation of GMO. And remember, we also did a story about how a ship full of the import duty-free GMO then had docked at Mombasa even before the instruments of power had been signed then to allow this trade into the country. It's an interesting read. You can read into that, and I do promise that we also have a headline, that story on Morning Drip News this morning. We shall be getting deeper into that as well when that time comes. Also this morning on the Standard, you have pictures of a former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, with William Ruto, and the Burundi president Evariste Ndayishimiye, who are back in the country talking about how they can then chart a way forward for DRC. Read into that story again on pages 7 of the Standard. That is what the Standard had as a headline this morning. Nelima, what is on the Daily Nation?
Right, Simba. Of course, there's a photo there of a pupil who's writing her examinations. Of course, this is day 2 of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, as well as the KPSEA, which is the exam for the grade 6 pupils.
Well, hold on. KP what now?
KPSEA.
KPSEA.
Right.
Essentially, are we counting down to the end of the 844 system then? Because that exam, it's the very first time it's been conducted in the country, isn't it?
Yes, very well, Simba. Of course, that is under the competency-based curriculum.
Yeah.
So for the very first time, grade 6 pupils are undergoing the examinations, and they're set to join junior high come January 2023. So of course the exam is ongoing. Today is day 2. Yeah. There are a lot of challenges, a few challenges here and there on day 1. And of course one of the very interesting things that made headlines, Simba, was the number of pregnant pupils who were sitting the examinations yesterday, and especially in Narok County. So it was numbers that were alarming. And as well, there is one pupil who delivered just before the mathematics paper. So of course, there's also a growing concern about the number of teen pregnancies, and especially among pupils who are sitting the examinations, who are, of course, in class 8 majorly. Yeah. And of course, so we'll be looking to see how day 2 will be. There were some schools that did not sit the examinations. I know there's something about centers being moved during the COVID-19 and the drought. So that is a story that will be coming to you in details, of course, in our news. And as well, we'll just be looking at how day 2 of the examination will be held. And as well, there is a concern about exam rigging that was nabbed yesterday, and of course that's a story we'll also be giving to you in detail shortly in our news. But on the title, Simba, is delayed windfall, 5,000 eyeing the CAS jobs.
What?
Remember, this is a position.
Is it been made legal now? Because there was a public participation process going on. I didn't know that there had been officially made legal.
Right. So, of course, it is a matter that is still in court.
Yes.
Because the court had ruled it, had nullified that position. But as well, it was a position that was created in the Uhuru Kenyatta government. And so we'll be looking to see if President William Ruto is still going to maintain the same. And, like the president has in the few nominated positions then is to pay back to the loyalists of the party. So there are very many people who've been left out. For instance, a former senator of Kakamega, Cleopas Malala, there's former Member of Parliament Margaret Wanjiru, there's Governor Mike Sonko, there's former Kirinyaga Member of Parliament Wangui Ngirishi, Millicent Omanga, Rashid Echesa. So many loyalists. So everyone just looking to see, are they going to fill in these positions because they seem to have been left in the cold.
Of course, Nancy, what do you expect? I mean, what have we seen from the nominations of PSs and cabinet secretaries? We've seen exactly the way their awards have been given. So you and I could predict almost the entire or 3/4 of that CIS list. But then, what does it show you, though, when you have 5,000 applications of for those particular positions? Does it show you? Oh, by the way, did you see that report? Since we're talking about that, Nelima, that report that was done by the ministry, by the Labour Department, that shows that only 9,000 Kenyans have permanent jobs in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Very shocking numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably
there.
this is why we are running for CIS positions. As far as you're concerned, it's permanent for the next 10 years if you do your job correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm saying 10 years in quotes. You do know what that means?
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5 years first.
Yeah.
Then 5 years is
I knew you were going to say that.
And Simba, one other thing that is making headlines on the Daily Nation before we close, of course, is Ghana and Cameroon. You know, the African teams didn't start off very well, but they seem to be picking up. So, of course, we saw Ghana beat South Korea and Cameroon drawing with Serbia. They call it the stubborn Serbia. So we'll be looking to see how the African teams perform as we continue giving them support right here from our studios.
As it's going to be. Anyway, waiting for that Ghana Uruguay team. Anyway, let's again, by the way, let's take a tiny breather again right here on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, Nelima, Nancy and I will be taking you directly to your socials this morning so we can tell you exactly what is trending online. Welcome back. Nelima, I got to read for you this quickly, though, your quick reaction on it. Elon Musk has been trending for all the good reasons and bad reasons as well since he took on Twitter.
Right.
Now, there's a story that was run by CNN, and this was their tagline. Elon Musk could threaten free speech on Twitter by allowing people to speak freely. Your sentiments. Because what we know, Donald Trump is back, isn't it? The likes of Andrew Tate are back, and Kanye West is back as well. But this particular statement, does it make sense, Nancy?
I feel like Elon Musk is a man who, of course, he is a wealthy man, but with also quite a bit of controversy with just how he continues to generate his wealth. And of course, he's taking over of Twitter, eliciting just different reactions. To some, a little bit arrogant, and even just with saying that for people to maintain the blue tick, then now they'll have to incur some cost every single month. So I think it's a conversation that varies from one person to another, very relative, I would call it. But now we'll keep and watch his move. We'll be here to be talking about the trends every other time. And of course, Twitter is one area that makes news, that makes headlines every single day.
I'll be telling you, by the way. Anyway, let's move on to our tweet center this morning so we can get to see exactly what is trending other than our Elon Musk as well, because we do know is again in a scuffle with Apple, and we should be telling you exactly what that is. Let's see exactly what we have for you this morning in terms of what Kenyans are talking about online. Now, this one is a tweet that we did here at Lookuptv, Nancy. It's talking about how, well, it gets announced. This is what Rigathi Gachagua said. The deputy president has challenged Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka to allow their children, Winnie Odinga and Kennedy Musyoka, who have been elected as the Yala members of parliament, to lead the mass action that Raila Amolo Odinga, the official opposition leader of Kenya now, is calling for as regards the planned ouster of the 4 IEBC commissioners. Nelima, makes sense?
It does, to some extent, because then the Deputy President, Kiage Simba, then feels that if Raila Odinga is calling for mass action, and we have seen what demonstrations have been like before, and they could have, running battles with police, tear gas, and so then if he would put his children, can they put their children forward, then the people would trust them more as their leaders and follow suit. But as well, mass action, Simba, is not illegal.
It's actually not illegal.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
And so then if the opposition and the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, leads the Azimio Brigade for a mass action, then of course with a notice from the right authorities, then there is no problem. But whether he will lead by example, of course, that is something we're going to see. He has before, and we're going to continue just to see what it will look like. But mass action is not illegal.
It's not illegal. It's actually a protected right. It's called the right of... It's not free movement.
Expression?
Expression, yes. And mass action is actually provided for in the Constitution. Free speech, free action, and a movement. You can live anywhere, you can do whatever it is that you want, as long as that does not infringe on the rights of your immediate person. That's what they say. Right,
Simba. Yeah. And there's also something very interesting that the President, William Ruto, did say yesterday, and that they expect the opposition to keep the government in check. But calling for a mass action is not a way to check the government. Those are the sentiments of President William Ruto yesterday in regards to the mass action that Raila Odinga is calling for as of tomorrow.
Contradicting statement, isn't it? Because you can't tell me to keep you in check, and then you tell me exactly how you want me to keep you in check.
I guess that's the politics.
Yeah?
Yes.
I mean, listen, it's provided for in the Constitution. I can do whatever it is that I want. But then you can't come around and say, no, yes, you can talk about me, but talk about me like this. We leave it for you. Nelima, let's check another one this morning on exactly what it is that Kenyans are talking about in as regards the trends. Now, this is Junet Mohammed, and that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Ruto seems to want to confine the opposition into a corner where he decides what to be criticized in his government, who to do the criticizing, what to do it, how to do it, and for how long. Exactly what we were talking about this morning. Because it doesn't make sense for you to say, yes, criticize us, but do it like this. And this is the place that you're going to do it. Where are we going to critique you if not through mass action? It's a provided for right in the Constitution, so we're going to do everything just to keep you in check.
Right. I guess, Simba, given the history that even the Kenyan politics has had, when you look at the government and the opposition, they will never speak the same language.
Yeah.
Maybe at the tail end of the Jubilee government is when the opposition and the government were dining together. But historically, then the government and the opposition are always at opposites. There are different sides, such that if the government then says there is no harm in genetically modified organisms, then the opposition is of a different opinion. So it's also the nature of politics that the government and the opposition don't easily see eye to eye. But should the opposition check the government? Definitely. Are they doing it in the right way? That is for Kenyans to decide.
we leave it for the rest of the Kenyans this morning. But guess what? The mass action that we're calling for was supposed to start today, isn't it?
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday. That's tomorrow.
But we could even see a couple of people who are outside the parliamentary buildings where the hearing is ongoing for the IEBC 4 commissioners. So people are already starting to show up in numbers just to show support for the 4 IEBC commissioners, who are also famously known as the opaque 4. So that's something we'll be looking to see, Simba.
I will tell you, Nelima. Anyway, that's exactly what it is that you're talking about. Guess what? We should be sampling some of these conversations. And by the way, some of these conversations also do end up making what we have for you from our newsroom today and for the rest of the week as well. So all you gotta do is join us online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. We take another break right here on The Morning Drift. Once we come back then, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom so we can get to tell you also some of the headlines that are taking center stage in the country today. Good morning.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa timu kubwa ya Hasla na ngojea mazao yake.
Na bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni awamu nyingine tena ya bunge la mwenyeji ambapo tunasikia tu maoni ya wenyeji, hasa wananchi wa kawaida. Je, maoni ni yapi?
Anakwambia wananchi ndio kila kitu. Unaona dips na system ni wananchi. Unaona vile wamenyorosha watu bwana.
Tumeng'oa nanga kwenye bunge la mwenyeji.
So ile kitu nasema tunamuomba asituachilie.
To know one's rights, often it is an adventure, especially when the opponent seems stronger.
Mradi huu uliingia kwa kishindo maeneo yetu ya Lamu kuja kujenga maeneo na makaazi ya watu.
We want to show you what ordinary people can achieve.
Kenya is now a strong democracy with the independent judiciary.
Our journey to justice.
Ni wakati wa mkutano. Jioni kwenye kamati ya kijiji.
Hadithi hii ilianza mwaka 1991.
Vipi kuhusu ngano kwa shamba langu kauka? Haina haja. Tutakupa kwa njia pia tukapuje.
Mkoa unaojiendesha wa Ninshahui ulitekeleza sera ya makazi mapya ya kuhamisha watu wa maeneo yenye umaskini ya Shiaigu ili waweze kujikimu.
Ninatumaini sana kwamba siku moja jangwa hapa litakuwa kijani kibichi na mji wetu wa Mining utakuwa na miundombinu kamili.
The Healing Jesus campaign is coming to Kenya. Join evangelist Dag Heward-Mills as he preaches the gospel of salvation with miracles, signs and wonders. The campaign will be held in 2 towns, Thika on the 29th of November to the 1st of December and Nyeri from the 2nd to 4th of December at 4 p.m. each night. There will also be a dynamic gathering for pastors dubbed Identifying Dangerous Enemies Conference during the mornings of the Thika campaign from the 29th of November to the 1st of December. In addition, there will be a pastors conference on the 3rd of December, which is the second day of the Nyeri campaign. For more information and registration, please call the numbers on the screen. +254 792 123 789 or +254 724 049 619. You can also visit the website ideckenya.org. Kenya will never be the same again after this encounter with the Anointed and His anointing through the Healing Jesus campaign. We will see you there.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about to the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
new testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design, with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
I don't know, man. Anyway, back, you are just, if you're joining us, you are watching The Morning Drift. My name is Simba, Elijah Charles Kiage. Let's now cross over to the newsroom where we can get to tell you some of the stories that you are waking up to this morning. Now, at least 2.5 million candidates today started their national examinations across the country, with various government officials presiding over the handing over of the exam materials across different counties. Ian Ketani files the following story.
A total of 248 girls in primary and secondary school in Narok County will take this year national exams while pregnant as the national examinations continue.
Leo tuko hapa tukiwa county security team pamoja na Minister of Education officials kulonji officially mambo ya national exam ya 2022. Tulianza hapa saa 11, tumepeana exam ya grade 6 na pia class 8.
Narok County Commissioner Isaac Masinde has assured that the government will ensure that the pregnant candidates have sat for their examinations and have provided ambulances in case of an emergency.
Tuko na 248 candidates ambao wanafanya mtihani wakiwa na hiyo hali ya ujauzito, na hawa wasichana tumehakikisha kwamba tumewapangia vilivyo ili waweze kufanya mtihani in a conducive environment. Tunauliza center managers na supervisors in case maybe mmoja akiingia katika lepa ataweza kusaidiwa. Pia tumeweka ambulance.
Similar circumstances exist in Samburu County, where a lack of security has resulted in inadequate security being controlled for candidates, particularly in low security areas.
Kwa hivyo Samburu hatuna changamoto nyingi kwa saa hii. Naona mambo ya usalama tumedhibiti. Tulikuwa na shida kidogo na mpaka wetu na Baringo huko nilikuwa. Hiyo tumedhibiti. Kuna areas zingine vile niliwaeleza hawa officers ambazo kwa mfano tukipata mvua upande wa Samburu magari haipitiki. Mheshimiwa Rais na Wizara ya Elimu wamenipa chopper helicopter ambayo yuko standby kwa areas ambazo hazitapitika kwa magari.
Commissioner of Samburu Henry Wafula has made this statement, stating that the government has begun the process of relocating candidates from areas affected by food shortages at the start of their exams in order to ensure their safety.
Hawa walimu ambao tunawaita center managers na wakuu wangu wa security, namba yangu, kuwa na changamoto yote serikali iko tayari.
Uasin Gishu County has also faced problems after 52 schools failed to take up examination material that kicked off on Monday. Most private schools, specifically in sub-counties that registered candidates, have been closed due to the corona pandemic. As stated by Early Learning and Basic Education Principal Secretary Julius Juan, who presided over distribution of examination materials for Tabo sub-county.
For KIPSEA, that is for the grade 6 exams that have not been picked. It is because the registration for KIPSEA exams took place when we were in grade 3, because we started doing the formative assessment from grade 3 progressively. And so their papers were prepared, but during COVID, most of these schools closed down. They were all private. I've checked at the centers, some of them have 6, some of them have 5.
Grace Mureithi, Lookuptv.
Security officers in Embu have detained 28 students who were found in nightclubs partying. Embu East Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner Jen Warwingi said the students will be detained awaiting their parents to conduct a counseling session. The administrator warned that all the nightclubs in the area will be closed for failing to comply with liquor operation guidelines of not allowing under 18 children into their premises.
Kumekuwa na malalamiko mengi kuwa especially on Sundays watoto wanapatikana kwa vilabu wakipewa vileo, na hiyo unajua ni jambo baya sana. So leo it was just a fact-finding mission, na for sure tumethibitisha ile watu wa wananchi walikuwa wamekuwa wakilalamika ni kweli. Tunaweza kupata watoto wakiwa katika hizo bar ambazo ni night clubs. Watoto wale tumepata wasichana ni 7 na wale wavulana ni 21.
Kuja kwa club na unataka msichana itisha ID kama utaki kushikwa.
Natoa onyo tena kali sana kwa zile clubs ama wenye bar ambao wanaruhusu watoto wachanga waweze kuingia kwa bar zao, kwa sababu ni hatia na ni halali, na tutaendelea na hii kazi, na wale wote ambao watapatikana tutawashtaki kwa kuwa wanawacha watoto wadogo waingie katika club zao ama waingie katika bar zao.
Two sides of the story. You have to talk about the parenting aspect, and also you blame the society, because I think the society begins right at home. This is a call to the parents. I mean, take care of your children. Let's not blame the society. Now, the High Court on Monday stopped the government from the importation of genetically modified food and crops. Lady Justice Muruge Thande gave the injunction following a petition filed by the Kenya Peasants League challenging the government's decision to import GMOs, arguing that it poses a health hazard. The importation has been temporarily halted, waiting for a hearing and determination of the matter on December 15th.
The debate on the importation of genetically modified crops and food in the country has been taking center stage. And now, the exercise that has elicited debate in the country from both the political and social arena ended in the corridors of justice, where it has been halted temporarily, waiting for the determination of the case. The Kenya Peasants League filed a petition against state law and the Cabinet Secretary Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, opposing the importation, cultivation and consumption of GMO crops and food in the country. The league members argued that GMO poses a deadly health hazard, particularly to the poor and those of low income. The ruling reads, and I quote, "This honorable court is pleased to issue an injunctive or conservatory order prohibiting the respondents, either by themselves or their agents or other person under their instructions, from gazetting or acting upon the contents of dispatch from the cabinet authored by the Executive Office of the President of Kenya." The court also issued an injunctive order prohibiting the respondents, either by themselves, their agents or other persons acting under their instructions, from permitting the importation of the GMO crops and food in the country. In their petition, the Kenya Peasants League argued that GMOs, if permitted into the country, will gravely affect their farming as peasants, thereby affecting their productivity and sustainability. The GMOs have negative and even fatal health effects, and as such might affect the petitioner and the rights of the general public to enjoy healthy food products and to enjoy their right to life. By failing to grant the petitioners and the members of the public an opportunity to participate in the decision-making in connection with lifting or otherwise of the ban of GMOs. The respondents thwarted the petitioners' right to be heard, fair administrative action, and the principles of good governance under Article 10 of the Constitution. That the right of consumer protection is most likely to be threatened should the GMOs be imported in the circumstances herein, as the Kenyan consumers have not been informed sufficiently on the issue of GMOs. The ruling comes at a time when the government is divided on the importation of GMO crops in the country, with CS Agriculture Mithika Linturi distancing himself from the rhetorics of his trade counterpart.
I am not aware of what Kuria sent, and I don't take what I find on social media as anything that is worth responding to, because I am the custodian of the statistics on how much food we require in this country, how much food we consume every day. So I don't want to get into that space. And right now, I have, with my technical people, I've worked on all the deficits in terms of maize, in terms of beans, in terms of rice, whatever is required of the country to ensure that immediately after this harvest, we do not lack food.
Linturi also dismissed the health concerns raised by different factions on GMOs.
So, Cabinet has pronounced itself on the position of GMO. So it's not something we can discuss. So if there will be need to bring GMO maize, we will do it, because the Cabinet has decided that we must lift the ban. But remember, even if we were to get there are certain protocols that guide use our importation of GMO. Who is it that can be able to tell us where or which channel, where is it that there has been linked, any cancer case has been linked to consumption of a GMO? Let us be honest with one another, and let us not fall into this story of politicians out there who have nothing else to do but make a lot of noise, because
the ban on the genetically modified organisms importation was effected on 18th of November 2012 and lifted by President William Ruto last month, October 3rd. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Three bodies of Mercy Mbula from Kangundo, Jacqueline Mudhoni from Imenti South, and Lucky Care from Mutwapa have arrived in the country at the JKIA Monday morning. The bodies that had been preserved at a mortuary in Saudi Arabia are of citizens who were looking for greener pastures that turned out to be an anguish. Families of the deceased have seen no good to the return that has brought grief and pain as they call on the government to intervene. Moses Okech with that story.
On Monday morning, it was an uneasing pain at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport after 3 dead bodies arrived from Saudi Arabia. Maybe the traumatizing event would have had a different feeling if the late Mercy Mbula, Jacqueline Mudhoni and Lucky Care arrived alive after their labor from the Arabian land. However, they have been forced to witness the bodies of their beloved ones being taken to the vehicle and later to the mortuaries awaiting the burial ceremony. According to Mweni, Mbula's cousin, she was burnt by acid with a friend in October 4th before she met her death.
Hatujapata haki ya mtoto wetu, lakini tulijulishwa kwamba mwenye ameua Mercy Sheila ni mwana Kenya mwenzake na ako kwa mikono ya serikali ya Saudi Arabia.
Justice that will ease the prevailing pain penetrating through their hearts.
Ni pigo kubwa kukuta bandara ya Turundi akiwa hai, amerundi akiwa katika geneza. Ni pigo kubwa kwa sisi kama familia.
Sheila, the accused in Mbula's death, has brought more harm than good to the family and now called on the government to investigate such matters.
Kama msasi amenikosea sana. Kwa hivyo serikali ichukue hatua juu ya huyu msichana. Ana roho ya mtu.
Kuna wasichana wengi wamekufa. Serikali ichukue jukumu ya kutumana, ichunguze ni nini inaendelea. Wasichana wetu na watoto wetu wasikuwe wanakufa.
wakipeleka watoto wetu wahakikishe wanaturundia wakiwa hai, sio katika mageneza kama vile tumeshuhudia leo.
On the other hand, the bereaved Lucky Care's family who worked in Saudi Arabia for 4 years state that Care had never complained of anything that will incite problems, even in their last phone conversation.
Mara ya mwisho aliwasiliana na dadangu, aliongea kuanzia saa 8 mpaka saa 8:30 usiku. Dadangu hakuongea shida yoyote ya kwamba ni mgonjwa.
Akamuuliza dadake, "Mishi kwani umelala?" Akamwambia, "Mimi bado sijalala, lakini sasa hivi ndo nataka kulala." Akamwambia, "Mimi hapa nilipo nina raha, naosha vyombo na mwenzangu hapa, hata nimechill." Akamwambia ipo. Basi akapiga story na Mishi hivi, alipomaliza Mishi akamwambia, "Poa basi, usiku mwema."
Last words, there was an end to their daughter.
Asubuhi saa 12 sisi tunaambiwa kifo cha Lucy Care Monyae, hatukujua chanzo wala mwisho. Kwa sababu hakusema yuaumwa na mahali popote, hata amesema yuko na raha, yuaosha vyombo.
Among the 3 bodies lay the body of Jacqueline Muthoni, who went to Saudi for the same cause. The families have shown gratitude to Sonko rescue team that enabled the bodies reach the country, as making a call for the government to intervene. Death cases of the Kenyan citizen have been trending as it dawns. The affected states the government is not taking the necessary steps in mitigating such deaths in the Arabia. But the big question now is, when shall the pain of losing loved ones in the Gulf come to an end? Moses Okech, Lookuptv.
President William Ruto has answered Azimio leader Raila Amolo Odinga over the planned protests on the ouster from office of the 4 IEBC commissioners. Ruto has said the nation requires peace and not street protests. Ruto has said this during the launching of Trigger Foods Distribution Center in Ruiru, Kiambu County. Edwin John Mukora with that story.
After opposition leader Raila Odinga urged Kenyans to protest against the ouster of the 4 IEBC commissioners who opposed the results of the August 9th general elections, President William Ruto has fired back at the Azimio leader, saying that the opposition is free to criticize the government and keep it on toes, but not to tell Kenyans to protest on the streets. Ruto has said mass protest is not a solution and neither will it bring peace to the country.
I do not think organizing demonstrations and getting Kenyans to do the things they want Kenyans to do is part of holding any government to account. They are free to criticize what we are doing. That's okay with us, and we appreciate, but I want to encourage them not to drive Kenyans against one another. Street demonstrations, street fights should not be part of the script of any responsible opposition, unless they want to be a dictatorial opposition, which I don't think that's where they want to go, because that works for nobody. It doesn't even work for them.
On a rejoinder, the party leader of the United Green Movement Party and former Ndhiwa MP Agustino Neto has asked the opposition to postpone the protest to give Class 8 and Grade 6 candidates an opportunity to complete their national examination in a conducive environment.
Ndio sababu tumekuja hapa kama chama kuwaomba wale viongozi wa Azimio Coalition ya kwamba yairishe ile kuongea kwao na wananchi kuhusu makamishna wa IEBC, kwa sababu tungependelea kwamba wanafunzi wetu wapewe nafasi ya kufanya mitihani kwa wakati ambao kuna amani na ambao hakuna shida kwa sehemu yote ya nchi. Na tumesema ya kwamba ni vizuri na ni haki ya kikatiba kufanya maandamano, kuongea kuhusu maneno ambayo yanaendelea nchini, lakini tumesema ya kwamba wangoje kidogo mpaka wanafunzi wetu wamalize mitihani. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa ujumbe wetu kwa leo kwa wanahabari. Asanteni sana.
Earlier, President William Ruto joined former President Uhuru Kenyatta at the 3rd Congo National Peace Conference in Nairobi, where they emphasized on the importance of peace in the region.
Indeed, having been to Goma and listened to stories of the suffering that people have gone through for so long, I am more convinced that no effort should be spared in bringing peace and stability to the eastern side of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
You may wish to know that my predecessor, President Uhuru Kenyatta here, and myself were on different sides of the political contest 2 months ago. And the competition was stiff. But after the election, I met His Excellency the President. I looked at him in the eye and I told him, Mr. President, you have started a very important process in EAC. I would want you to continue that process.
Edin John Mokora, Lookuptv.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera and Commissioner Irene Masit Monday failed to appear before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to respond to the petition seeking to oust them. Members of the JLAC, allied to the minority party Azimio la Umoja coalition, also skipped the sanction that is ongoing at the City Hall. Shadrach Kareria gives us that story.
Dated 23rd November 2022.
It now appears like a political contest of what was to be a session to determine the fate of the embattled vice chairperson of the IBC, Juliana Cherera, and the other commissioners. The event that turned out to be a no-man show for the Chereras for.
The President of this Republic, His Excellency, President William Ruto, tweeted and referring to the 4 commissioners whose petitions are here as rogue officials.
The 2 commissioners snapped the schedule by Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, the hearing that was to proceed in their presence. While appearing before the committee, lawyer Paul Mboya, who represented Cherera, told the committee that his client required more time to respond.
Standing Order 2568 of the National Assembly Standing Orders empowers this committee to go back to Parliament for an extension of time. I know the clerk is next to you, a good friend. He can confirm that. So there is no need to rush.
Cherera argued that she has not been given a copy of the recent ruling by the chair of the committee, for the reason the committee gave Cherera up to Tuesday morning to appear before the committee.
We ask this committee to please adjourn so that we obtain that. The hearing of this matter is hereby adjourned to tomorrow, the 29th of November 2022 at 8:00 a.m.
On his part, Commissioner Irene Masit, through a letter, stated that she will not appear before the committee nor his lawyer, terming the process illegal. While the process was ongoing, members of the Bunge la Mwananchi were protesting outside the parliament in solidarity of the 4 commissioners. This comes as the Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has announced to hold public rallies starting on Wednesday to engage Kenyans from all parts of the country on the ongoing probe against the 4 officials.
Despite the failure of Irene Masit to attend today's hearing, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee have maintained that the hearing will proceed tomorrow for the second and final day. Reporting for Lookuptv from Parliament Building, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
Moving on, the public participation sanction organized by the Meru County Assembly regarding the removal of County Governor Kawira Mwangaza has been disrupted after the 2 opposing parties protested for not being actively involved in the process. Let's take a look.
Tension has been witnessed in Meru County Assembly after a public session to discuss the validity of impeaching the County Governor Kawira Mwangaza was disrupted following complaints of unfair treatment of one party. According to the residents, the leaders have failed to amicably talk the way forward and find a smooth way of presenting the issue to the public for discussion.
Public participation haijafanywa njia inavyostahili. Nataka kusema Meru County sisi yo public participation kama impeachment imeenda inastahili irudi. Tukiangalia nyuma yangu hapa ni watu wenye MCS wameweza kuwalipa. Sisi tuko wakaaji na tuko youth. Public participation haijaenda mzuri.
Tunaomba kama ni public baraza iwe ya ukweli, sio kuandika watu halafu kuja
A Bogeta West member of County Assembly DMK Kiogora submitted a motion to oust Mwangaza last week as the governor is expected to defend her leadership.
Move a motion for the impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of Meru County, for 1, gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, gross violation of national and county laws, 3, gross abuse of office, and 4, gross misconduct. The specific grounds of the motion are organized thematically as outlined in the index below and to elaborated in the ensuing pages of this motion. The evidence in support of the motion is set out in the annexes to the motion. The affidavit presented herewith verifies the accuracy and reliability of the annexes to the motion.
The 69 county assembly members are expected to vote on the motion after Governor Mwangaza has defended her cause.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki Monday made an impromptu visit in parts of the CBD that had been hotspots and epicenters for muggings and other crimes, saying police have been able to restore public safety after arresting many of the gang members behind the attacks. Let's take a look.
We had serious security concerns in our city, especially arising out of criminal gangs that were interrupting the businesses around the city, using firearms and others using knives. And the government decided to take radical measures to restore normalcy. A few days ago, about 2 weeks ago, we started by changing the regional police command in this city. We brought in a new regional police commander. We also deployed security officers across the city in all the areas that were affected by muggings and criminal activities. The reports we have so far is that for the past 1 week, normalcy has returned. We have not had reported crimes, especially around muggings and people being attacked using firearms and knives. And we decided to come and confirm from wananchi if this is true. So we have engaged with the citizens around the streets. They have told us that there is a lot of improvement, and I want to take this opportunity to thank our security forces in this city, to thank the entire government machinery in this city.
Oh, that story touching on security in the country marks the end of the Morning Drift news at this hour. What I do know is that Nelima is coming back with a conversation on intentional living. What is that? I was trying to look into it, like living with intention, you know? Anyway, I'll be listening in, so hope you take out your pens and paper so you can take a couple of notes, because it's what we do every Tuesday right here on The Morning Drift. For me, I'll be coming back from 11 to 12 noon today, where I'll be talking to you about business issues. I'll be telling you exactly what is going on at Centum PLC. They're going back to the market. For what reason? I'll be telling you about that. Also come and talk about what is going on with Elon Musk and Twitter, as far as Apple is concerned. Join us online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. It's my tea break hour.
A very small percentage of people can protect what the future holds. Mahiga Homes has a track record that speaks for itself. With 5.95 million, you can